Hello, Chalice authors and anybody else that found their way to this video. We're so glad that you are here. Today's topic is Instagram, and I have a fellow Chalice author and friend, Bruce Reyes-Chow, and I felt like this was a divine connection to talk about Instagram because I feel definitely like an Insta novice. I can do the absolute basics, but I am in no way an Instagram ninja. So we're going to talk for just about 15 minutes about Instagram. And Bruce, I'm wondering if you could just start out by talking about just generally your platform on Instagram, how
Yeah.
it's grown, how you use it, what happens for you with Insta.
Yeah. I mean, after the downfall of that other place, everybody is having to land somewhere and
Yeah.
nowhere will be the same where we're almost all there and interacting and all those kind of things. So I've just found it to be the place that I can fully be kind of my brand is kind of being everything. Like I don't have multiple personalities. I'm not disciplined enough to be able to do that. So I share personal stuff and professional things, all of that, and this just seems the best place for me to do that. And I'm pretty visual, so I love the images, I love the stories, and then I love just interacting with folks. This is where I get most of my news now, really.
Mhm.
And where if I had to, choose one for just personal use, that's where I would be. I might choose a couple more if I was for professional use. So I don't worry about trying to get followers. I just kind of hang out there.
Mhm.
But I do know what works when I'm trying to do particular things because I've been so genuine in the rest of my Instagram world that some of these other things that I'll talk about really do kind of leverage those relationships in a way that might help authors in trying to do what they're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
again, we all hate the self promotion. If you love the self promotion, that's a problem. But most of us have to figure out how to do it so it doesn't feel like we're selling our soul. And I think you can do it on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, tell us about it. Like, what do you want us to
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Well, if I had to give, let's say three, as we
Mhm.
generally do, I think it's the same across the board or the first two are the same across the board for most social media platforms, right? Be consistent.
Mhm.
So, just always be present. If you need to count, if you hate social media, but you know you need to be on Instagram, and again, if you're an author, you got to be there at some level, especially if you're just starting out or you're trying to engage with people. So even if you need to calendar that time out, I'm going to spend 10 minutes, I'm going to be half an hour, whatever. Treat
Yeah.
it as work time if you need to, but be consistent and get on there and post some things both on your story and on your profile. But really, the story is more important. Folks are engaging more with stories than they are with anything else.
Mm.
So that'd be the first is to be consistent and engage with people, is to kind of be out there, react to other people's things, all those kinds of stuff. So leave comments on things you appreciate. It
Mm.
helps them, like it helps them beat algorithms and all those kind of things. You have to put words, more than 4 or 5 words, more than just an emoji reaction, just kind of interact. You can like things, like stories, all those things help people. So that kind of consistency and interaction. And then I would say also then at the same time, don't try too hard. So I think, I'm mid 50s, I have 20 somethings. I'm probably more technologically connected because of my work, but I watch some videos, reels, posts on variety of platforms. And I'm like, oh, you're trying too hard. Like
Yeah.
and you can feel it. I hope I don't get there. I'm sure I've crossed the line, but my thing is just be you and don't try to do too much because that won't be consistent. You won't be able to
Mm.
maintain that. And the last thing I would say about Instagram technically is folks have to start using Reels. I mean, Reels, you can, if you look at almost anybody's numbers, you can see that Reels just have a larger reach than any other post do. And because they're 90 seconds or less, you can really I think for those of us who use our words a lot, it helps us to think, okay, what do I want to say in a minute?
Mhm.
And those are the things that can begin to get passed on a little more, especially those of us that are kind of in the progressive justice activist spaces, to really share a version of, if you happen to be Christian like I am, a gospel that it counteracts some of the other stuff that's out there. So
Yeah.
use Reels. I use Blink and CapCut are two of the ones that I use. You do pay for those. I do think it's okay to pay for some of these services so that you can add captions. You can use the teleprompter. If play with it, but definitely find a way to use Reels, even if it's what are all the questions somebody would ask you about your book? Why did you write it?
Mm.
Answer that in 90 seconds. Give it, whatever people would ask you in a Q&A, go ahead and turn that into reel and respond to those. So
Yeah.
use the reels.
The reels is the big thing. So the reels, now this is going to definitely show my ignorance.
That's okay.
Can
That's
your
fine.
reels cross post to, and I don't know how you feel about this one, but to, as my kids call it, the ticky-tacky?
Yeah. So what I do with mine, ones that I feel like are this is a good one. So I cross post it to TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
Okay.
So I do all three,
Yep.
but so then you got to use a third party platform like Blink or CapCut to create it. And then you can just post them up in all those three places. So yeah, they all work fine. The TikTok is a little better because you can go longer and there's other things, but
Yeah.
I am not a huge TikToker. I'm there because I know it's important to be there, not because I would gravitate towards there.
Yeah.
I still punctuate my texts. So,
Yeah. I,
I'm
in contrast, sit on the sofa watching TikTok till I'm like, fend for yourself, children. Like,
well, does
dogs.
TikTok give you the warning where it says, you've been on this too long?
The one that I don't get the warning from TikTok, but once I got a TikTok video that came up that was like, "Are you doom scrolling? Let's take a deep breath." And I was like, "Oh, the algorithm like knows I'm in trouble over here." But like
Instagram now says, is it time to take a break?
the time
Yeah.
we need
Like
you.
Netflix, says,
Yeah.
is
He's
your
still
butt
watching. He's like,
is your butt still on the couch?
he's
Have
still watching. I
have
mean,
you
that's like
moved?
that's another whole topic that I'm actually really interested in is like how to detox from it and blah blah blah. But we're trying to like use it for promotion, use it for good.
Yeah.
Another practical question. When you do your reels, do you think of it as like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and produce a reel or some reels, or do you just kind of like make it flow into your daily life or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
So if I know, so for instance, I'm launching a little project today, so I will do a little more production. So I have a ridiculous camera setup here. So right now I'm using my computer camera, but I have a regular fancy camera up here, and so I'll do that one for my Substack, and then I'll splice it into a real looking thing as well, and I do all of that
Okay.
together now. And then there are sometimes I'm like, oh, I have something to say, and I'll just pop my camera in front of my face and do it. So
Hmm.
that's the simplest is I'll do it. I still always use Blink or CapCut so I can add captions and correct captions. Captions that are not correct to me drive me blah.
Yeah.
That may just be me, but it helps. There's some good things about AI, and it helps you kind of take some language out and fix stuff up. And I like how things look.
Yeah.
So even if it's just off the cuff, I will still use Blake or CapCut to create it and then put it out. And I can do a 90-second reel. It'll take me 20 minutes at this point.
Yeah.
So if I just do it that now, the other one takes me a little longer because I have multiple filmings and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But that's only if you like that stuff that you have to
Yeah. I
get
mean,
into
I
film.
think it is for those that are just starting or thinking of doing it. And I think just to like hint to the other things in this series that we haven't gotten
Yeah.
to, I just want people to kind of see. I do think broader strokes, you should possibly want to pick a thing and kind of drill deep.
Yep.
But maybe one way to pick your thing is to play around with it. I think the danger in that is that to get good, to get to a place where you can do a 90-second reel that you're liking in 20 minutes, it's going to take you a while. And I only know that like anecdotally, like I have author friends,
Yeah.
especially.
I mean, you're going to put some crappy stuff out,
Yeah.
but that's part of
No,
the
it is
charm. I
part of
actually think
art.
that is part of the charm is that I'm like,
Yeah.
even like do your first one that's like, I'm making a reel. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's part, but practice, knowing what you want to get to and knowing the look you want. Because I
Yeah.
watch some and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to do that's not me. And so I'm
Yeah.
not going to learn that. But these just very simple, all of mine are very simple. They're just me talking. I'm really, you start to look like what kind of framing looks better that you like. And so you begin to figure out what fits you so that it doesn't become a burden. It becomes like,
Yeah.
oh, this is naturally how I want to
And if
present it
you're
to the world.
enjoying it, I think that's
Yeah.
part of it too. Like marketing in general, self-promotion, it can be kind of like a drag. But if you absolutely hate every minute of it, find a different
Yeah,
platform.
exactly.
But for you, you were saying like, look, I'm a visual person, I'm artsy, I like using the platform. So it's like a good synergy and a good fit for
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
I think
And there's
that's
always that just that balance of how much is too much, and figuring it out. And so find people that you appreciate how they use it and kind of see, liberate their ideas and their flow. And what does that then look like for you? But that going back to number two is just don't try too hard. That's
yeah.
always, I can just tell when folks, I'm like, just, keep it simple, keep it you. And for most
Don't be
authors, it's just,
obsessed with every single
yeah,
English.
just do it. I mean, I think there are important captions are always important. Like that just
Mhm.
makes we're a caption world now, and
Yeah.
so that part is really important to do if you can do the reels. But just try it out. And you can just start on Instagram and just do it on Instagram, and not. You can also you can just do film something and put some music to it and create a reel, and you don't even have to talk or do
Yeah.
any thing. So I occasionally will just do a reel that's the ocean because I happen to live by the ocean, and I'll just put 30 seconds of I stood at the ocean today, and people just watch the
I
ocean,
love
which
that.
that kind
I
of
mean,
stuff.
I know that what you're saying is true about the reels just because of my very tiny, limited Instagram presence. One day I was like, well, what is this real thing? So I was walking my dog and I took a little video of him walking and then I put it to music, the song
Right,
Wobble. It's like
right,
wobble,
yeah,
wobble.
yeah.
My dog's like wobbling walking. And then I put the little sun and it's like good morning. And that thing, I mean, it went wild. Like
You're just
people
like
I don't even know.
our world is terrible. Why is this popular?
Why do people care about my dog wobbling around? And I think it's because it's like a slice of life, right? And it just ended up in people's
Exactly.
algorithm. And so if it that would never happen with a different kind of a post or is it was
Yeah.
because it's in the reels, right? So I think
Yeah.
there is that. Do you have any examples? I think I'll make this my last question.
Mhm.
Examples of how Instagram has led you either to business or to somebody knowing about your book or to contact like to an author or a reader that contacted you or like anything like that?
Yeah, so I get contacts from people when, my more thoughtful reels, when I'm like, okay, there's
Mhm.
a statement that needs to be made about something that definitely impacts and gets folks because those just get spread out more. In my particular space in kind of religious world and life. But I think that for in terms of my own like book author stuff,
Mhm.
um, it helps to build relationships with people who are trying to help you.
Yeah.
So I know that I have some book events coming up this summer that they're already putting out reels,
Mhm.
to publicize. And so I'm pushing those out as well to help them.
Mhm.
So I think this reciprocal, and I've noticed I've done about 7 events, bookstore, church things at this point, and they've
Yeah.
all been pretty good. And I don't know how many have found us through the reels, but the bookstores I know are all creating them
Yeah.
and they're getting people who I don't know.
Yeah.
So somehow they're doing things. So whether it's direct or not, I don't
Yeah.
know. I do think that if you're really want to give yourself a chance at getting in front of people, not doing it is not a good option.
Right.
I
Yep.
mean, I think it's hard to we could say I'm just not going to do those.
Yeah.
There are ramifications for that.
Sure.
So or to figure out, okay, so how are you going to make up for this? Like, where are you going to
Yeah.
kind of
You
do
gotta do
more?
something.
You got
You
to do
can't
something.
not
Yeah,
you can't not market
yeah,
your
Yeah.
book. I
Most
mean,
of us are not good enough to have enough platform to
yeah.
just write a book and it sells.
Right. Or to in order to get to that, you have to
Yeah,
build
yeah,
the,
and you
like
just
that
gotta, yeah. I
platform
mean,
book, right? I think
yeah,
that that's super helpful. It's a great way to end actually, even though I could keep going, just made me think of like 15 things. But for those that are like, well, I want to see how he does it, what's your handle?
yeah. I'm at B Reyes-Chow on everything.
Okay. So
People
just
have
all
tried people
together.
Yeah, people have said I can't find you, and I'm like, then you didn't really look
You didn't
because
look.
I'm
You
the
did.
only Reyes-Chow in the world.
Is there a hyphen in the
There
thing?
is not. There
Okay,
is
but it's
not.
just
But if you
all
were
the
just
way
to
through.
type that in, you're finding me somewhere. But yeah, B Reyes-Chow on all the things.
Well, people hopefully from this video are going to find you on Insta.
That's
So
right.
All right. Well, friends, thanks for watching. If you're a Chalice author or author that is interested in this kind of a series and you want us to do another talk, just reach out to me. I'm Tracy Smith, Director of Family Faith Every Day at Chalice Media Group, tsmith@chalicemedia.org. And thanks for coming by, Bruce.
All right. Thanks.